everyone! Welcome to Board Game Bakes. This week we're going to feature Big Thunder Mountain Railroad by Funko Games. Growing up, that was my favorite ride, so when I saw it as a game, I was really excited. And I actually wasn't disappointed. I've been able to play this game with my 6-year-old, and it's a lot of fun because it's very simple action and stuff, but there's enough randomization and strategy that my son is fun at 6, and I still enjoy it as a something-year-old. We're going to recreate the game board using the same stuff that you put into cake pops. So it's going to be a mixture of old cakes that I've had, and you're going to mix it with frosting, so they're not old cakes. Sometimes when you level off the cake, you have a little bit left over. So you could eat it, throw it out, or I like to freeze it for things like this. If you don't have cake lying around like me, because you don't have a huge freezer full of cake, and you could also just bake a 13x9 cake and use that as well. Let's get started on our adventure to Big Thunder Mountain. Here we go! These are one of my favorite types of bakes. Take your leftover cake bits and put them in your mixer. Set it on low and watch as your cake turns to crumbs. I had a lot, so I went with one batch that was mostly chocolate and another one that was a chocolate vanilla. If you don't have all this cake to repurpose, you could also just use a 13x9 cake and you should be good to go. Once your cake is crumbs, you could add a tablespoon or two of fresh frosting, or I went full repurpose mode and took some icing off of a cake that I had frozen as well. So this cake already had icing on it, so I just put some of that cake in here to get the icing component. You want to put this in the fridge for now to make it easier to use. While your cake dough is setting, use the actual game piece to trace a base for your edible creation and cut it out. Now you're ready to assemble your scene. I started with chalk on the bottom to form the base. I love playing this game with my 6-year-old. It's really easy for him to understand, but it's still a lot of fun to play. Now take your vanilla cake and use it to add the ridges and the rock grooves around, and this is how your marble would move through the board. Use it to create the mountain in the back and the spot where you drop your marbles in. This one didn't fully work, but it would randomize, but I didn't really create a center that you'd be able to play the actual game with. Because you're also going to take a nice chunk of dough, and this is going to form the central mountain, which in the game you use to randomize where the resources go. Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to watch my video. Have a great day! A traditional cake pop is covered in chocolate, so I decided to cover our scene in modeling chocolate as opposed to fondant. You can easily make modeling chocolate by mixing white chocolate with corn syrup that's been dyed a nice orange first. Your chocolate will likely be hard when you get to this point, so you want to microwave it for 10 seconds to make it like Play-Doh. Roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. I originally tried to cover the whole thing of chocolate at once, but it got too hard when I came in contact with the cold cake. Thus, put it into 2 sections and try to use the heat of your hands to mold the seams together. You may need to squish extra sections over any exposed pieces of the cake dough. Roll out another large section and cover your central mountain piece. With the rest of the pieces that you have, you're going to add some rocks around the board. Look at the actual game board and then put the rocks in the corresponding parts on the cake. I like the simplicity of the board design and the randomizing aspect most of the time, except when all the marbles decide they were going to go to the bottom. The final step is to use edible paint and markers to bring our creation to life. The actual game board doesn't have any shadowing and is just a piece of plastic, but it's very hard to see the actual shadows on the cake while you're looking at it through the camera, so the paints come in handy. Use orange and brown food gel and a little bit of alcohol to create your edible paint. Use it to shadow the marble tracks and around the rocks. Since it's chocolate and it doesn't fully blend in as much as fondant, I wound up taking a paper towel afterwards to give it more of a shadowy effect instead of having it be so bold. Finally, take your brown edible marker to add details to the central mountain piece and a few rocks. Just have some fun adding some rocks around and some shadows, and you're ready to bring your creation to life and head to the wild, wild west. Yeehaw! Thanks for watching another episode of Board Game Bakes. I hope you enjoyed this fun way to reuse pieces of cake that otherwise would have just been tossed. And this way we got to make something new and fun. So what are your thoughts on games that are based on rides? There's the Haunted Mansion now, there's Big Thunder Mountain, and there's also Space Mountain. So what are your thoughts on these games? Do you like that it incorporates the other rides, or do you like games that are more original? Keep playing games and keep them sweet. Bye!